Welcome back to another video here on the Washington Football Maniacs YouTube channel. My name is Greg along with Brandon Scott, and this channel is dedicated to news and commentary for the Washington Commanders. If you're down with that, please make sure you consider subscribing and hit that notification bell so you won't miss any other video releases or podcast releases wherever you're listening or watching this video slash podcast. So in this video today, folks, we want to talk about who we think may be the lock. Now, it's not 100% said and done, and for all intents and purposes, folks, the Washington Commanders have been pretty tight-lipped as far as what they're going to do at number 2. But we are thinking that everything is pointing toward Jayden Daniels. Now, we could be wrong, and we could be the kiss of death for Jayden Daniels, and, you know, we're going to make tons of videos where it's like, oh, you know, welcome Jayden Daniels, and then come that night of the draft, it's Drake Maye. But, you know, still, I'm going to be happy with either one. But in this video, we're going to talk about Jayden Daniels. We're going to feel like he's a lock, and we're going to talk about the positives and negatives with Jayden Daniels. So with that said, let's go to it. So Brandon, one thing that we can definitely say is that we traded Sam Howell to the Seattle Seahawks. So we know it's not going to be Sam Howell. Marcus Mariota was brought in, which is, I will admit, is a little bit of a head scratcher because, honestly, I think if I had a choice between bringing in Marcus Mariota or keeping Jacoby Brissett, I would have kept Jacoby Brissett. Yeah. But we brought in Marcus Mariota. I don't expect him to compete for the starting quarterback position. And if he does, I don't expect him to play the entire season. So with that said, everything pretty much points to a quarterback being picked in the draft. And our assumption is it's probably going to be at the number 2 pick. It doesn't sound like the Washington Commanders are at all interested in trading back that pick to pick up other picks. So we're going to assume that they're picking a quarterback at number 2. We're assuming it's probably going to be Jayden Daniels. So what are your thoughts on that, Brandon?
Looking at Jayden Daniels, he's a very intriguing prospect. I mean, he can play the ball. I've been a fan of him since he was at Arizona State, and I mean, there's a lot of positives. Now we're going to talk about the negatives, and there's a few kind of red flags when it comes to Jayden Daniels. But he can pass the ball, he can run the ball. I mean, he's accurate. He can throw the deep ball. I mean, if you look at his stats, we're kind of look at LSU. In 2022, 17 touchdowns, 3 picks, but his biggest year was obviously last year, 2023, 40 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. And then with him running the ball, he ran for 1,134 yards and 10 touchdowns. Now, obviously, dual threat, you know, he ran a lot at LSU. He had a couple of good receivers at LSU, so he just had the perfect situation for a quarterback, you know. But I mean, he's intriguing. I mean, looking at Caleb Williams, he's probably the second best quarterback in my opinion. Now, I do like Drake Maye, and like you said, I would not be upset if they got Drake Maye. But I think that the fact that they got Mariota, the fact that Kingsbury is used to dealing with dual threat quarterbacks like, you know, Kyler Murray, I think that all arrows point to Jayden Daniels. I mean, he's just, to me, he's the second best quarterback, and if he's there at 2 and Caleb Williams is not, you definitely have to make that move. Now, what are the negatives? His weight really scares me a little bit because he's a little underweight, but then you got to ask the question, you know, how much weight do you put on him to where it affects his speed? But that kind of leads into the next thing, whereas we really don't want him to run as much as he did at LSU. Like, you know, in the NFL, like we were talking about before the podcast, man, like, you know, in college, you can get away with a lot of those runs, man, but in the NFL, no, sir. I mean, you got defensive ends, man, where they got 40 times that are crazy now. I mean, these guys are going to hit you. They're going to be able to run them down. So he's got to learn to be able to, the one, you know, utilize the weapons around him, but 2, you know, slide. You know, don't feel compelled to make those big moves, make those big plays like you did in college, because in the NFL, they're all professionals. So you can rely on your weapons a lot more. Where, I mean, if you look at LSU, another knock against them was two good receivers, And if you look at the numbers in Arizona State, where his receiving core wasn't as good, 2019 he started 12 games for an 8-4 record, threw 17 touchdowns, for 2 picks. But in 2021, 8-5 record with 13 games started, 10 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. And the reason for that, he lost a lot of talent in the receiving core, and he had to make a lot of moves, and he took a lot of risky throws. So I'm excited. I mean, obviously, I'm a Sam Howell guy, but Sam Howell is no longer commander. He's in Seattle. So, I mean, and Mariota obviously ain't going to be the starter. So, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, like I said, Jayden Daniels, Drake Maye, it might surprise. I mean, I don't know about J.J. McCarthy, even though it looks like his stock is rising, because it looks like he might end up in Minnesota, in my opinion. But Jayden Daniels will be a really good prospect quarterback for this team. But like I said, I have my concerns, but I think we're going to be all right, man. I mean, obviously, we have other holes to fill, in my opinion. We got to go out there and get a corner. You got to add to the receiving core. But, you add a dynamic talent like Jayden Daniels to a team like this, where you have a new owner, new GM, new coaching staff, and offensive coordinator knows how to use them. This is going to be a dangerous team next year.
Yeah, I agree. I'll also add, of course, left tackle we really need, and I'm pretty sure that we're going to address that in the draft. And, I'll just add, we're talking about, kind of touched on the pro days. Caleb Williams' pro day wasn't really, now I didn't watch the whole thing, but, from just a little bit I saw on social media, people were showing like all of these overthrows they did, kind of duck passes, just balls that are thrown, I guess, on the wrong shoulder and whatnot. So, it does kind of make you wonder, because, he didn't participate in the combine. And so you feel like, oh, okay, all the marbles will be displayed on the pro day. And then he really didn't have what I considered a great pro day. Yeah. So I think that's why I'm kind of excited to see the pro days of Jayden Daniels, Drake Maye, J.J. McCarthy, guys like that, because I know that J.J. McCarthy, I guess he did participate in the combine, but especially those who didn't, like Daniels and Maye, I want to be able to see how they perform on their pro day, because I think right now the stock is going to be a lot more into that. Naturally, since all three of those guys didn't participate in the combine. So it's funny, because we may be talking next week that, well, you know what? Well, Drake Maye now, he's kind of looks like he's solidified, or J.J. McCarthy has really closed the gap on the top three quarterbacks, and he's not that far of a distant fourth. So who knows? Who really knows? And again, the Commanders are so tight-lipped, we just don't really know. We're assuming, but we have no idea. But I can tell you what, I will be very supportive and happy with any of these guys. I'm like you, Brandon. Jayden really excites me, the way he plays. It's I don't want to compare him to RG3 or Lamar, but I love those. It's exciting because it's a different layer of play that you add on to the quarterback, and so it's I love to see that, because it's like you do everything that you possibly can as a defender, and then he is able to take off and just rip off this huge run. So I'd love to see that, but just kind of supporting your positives and negatives. I pulled up the Bleacher Report. So they're positives for Jayden Daniels: elite athleticism, excellent burst, agility, speed for the position, above average pocket management and toughness, above average process within the pocket, ties his feet to his eyes to remain in a throw position late in the progression, good ability to create dangerous runner with sparse flashes of creativity as a thrower outside the pocket, very good deep ball accuracy. We did see some of that in like highlights and stuff. Consistently drops it in the bucket, which is awesome. I want to see that. I miss really seeing that in a Washington offense. Negatives, as you said, skinny frame with a reckless abandon as ball carry opens himself up to future injury. So kind of the RG3 thing where, that is kind of the comparisons that come into place because, the big snuck on RG3, he didn't know how to slide.
Yeah.
Couldn't really protect himself. And unfortunately, that first year, he got seriously injured and just never really recovered after that. So that is one of the things you kind of worry about with Jayden Daniels. Plus, Jayden just looks smaller than what RG3 did. And RG3 wasn't what I considered a very big guy. But Daniels, of course, looks a little smaller. If you keep going, mediocre velocity, can sometimes struggle driving the ball into tight windows. Inconsistent accuracy to the short and intermediate areas, especially if not throwing on time. Of course, who this reminds me of? This very same scouting report of Mark Rippon, because what was Mark Rippon's knock on him? He could throw the deep ball. I mean, he had a sweet deep ball, man.
Yeah.
But his short passes were ugly. Like when he would warm up, you're like, dude needs to warm up for 20 more minutes because it looks ugly. I mean, his short passes were horrible, but his deep passes were perfect. Were just great. And so, I feel like in modern day offenses, it's really paramount to make sure that your short and intermediate passes are accurate, because a lot of times the pass is an extension of the run. We just don't really put as much emphasis on the run, although we still do emphasize a balanced offense, but it's definitely a pass first type of league. So it's very paramount that you do clean up some of that. And just, quickly, if I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it, but just go to a little bit of the Drake Maye's, scouting report. Good athletic ability. Of course, we know about his size. And he's also a threat as a scrambler. He's got a good arm strength. He's very accurate downfield. He can throw those pressure passes, those off-platform passes, great accuracy, above average ability to operate within the structure. And then the negatives, tendency to make bad plays even worse. So when things are not as stellar with the play, sometimes it can make it even worse. We kind of saw that with Sam Howell a little bit this year. We'll run into bad sacks. We definitely saw that with Sam Howell. Throw head scratcher interceptions, try and save a play. Can struggle to come off his pre-snap read with pitcher changes on him post-snap. I think pre-snap reads is something that's extremely important for any quarterback who's coming into the National Football League, that they have to be able to understand pre-snap reads and understand exactly what the defense could be doing, and eventually just almost playing the role of a fortune teller. Like they're in this type of defense right now, know exactly what they're going to do, but also know their tendency of changing this up right before we snap the balls, and this is what they go to. So ultimately, I think it's going to come down to, if you look at athletic abilities alone with these quarterbacks, they're all, in my mind, pretty even in some respects. But I think what it really is going to come down to, Brandon, I think it's going to come down to the mental aspect of the game. And, Jayden Daniels can make the big plays, but how is he good with the mental aspect of the game? How will, Drake Maye, will he be able to deal with the mental aspect? Caleb Williams, all these guys. So that's my thing. It's like, all of these guys, I don't doubt that they can make NFL throws. They can run the ball. Their athletic ability, I have no doubt with any of these guys. It's going to come down to the mental toughness and how quickly that they can learn defenses and how quickly they can get to where they can manage the offense because they know how to do pre-snap reads and that sort of thing.
Oh, I totally agree, man. What I like about Jayden Daniels is 40 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. I mean, and like I said, he played LSU, so he's in the SEC. So he's playing in big games, So his ability to make those reads. Because I've done a lot of studying when it came to Caleb, Jayden, and a lot on Drake Maye. And yeah, it's kind of like when you I compare Drake Maye to Josh Allen, and you see a lot of the positives of Josh Allen in Drake Maye, but then you kind of see a lot of those negatives where he tries to make the big throws and often gets them in trouble. And which Josh Allen's so bad for. So like I said, Drake Maye, I guess what gives me the edge as far as Jayden Daniels over Drake Maye is his ability to extend plays. And not to say that Drake Maye can't run, because he can definitely run. But I mean, he ain't running like Jayden, but he can definitely extend plays. But just Jayden Daniels, his process, from what I've studied, is superior. So like I said, I think this is a really good position for this team because regardless, we're going to get a franchise quarterback. Even if we trade back and go get Bo Nix, I'm big on Bo Nix. And even if you look at JJ McCarthy, there's a reason why Minnesota is trying to trade up and go get him, because he's a really good prospect. So I don't think we lose in this draft. I think we're going to be able to get that left tackle. I think we're going to be able to get that quarterback. And I think we're really taking these first preemptive steps to become a relevant franchise again. So, I mean, even if it's Jay Daniels, he's definitely reminds me a lot of RG3 and Lamar Jackson. I think he'd do really well here in DC and be electrifying. But I think we're successful with Drake Maye. I think we could be successful with most quarterbacks in this draft, because I think we have all the steps in place: the coaching staff, the GM, the ownership. So I mean, you're bringing a quarterback into a good situation where, as opposed to Dan Snyder, man, you're terrified because what are you bringing him into? You're bringing him into Dan Snyder's team. It's like, oh Lord. So we're definitely in a good situation, man. So yeah, I mean, all arrows are pointing towards Jayden Daniels being that guy, because to a lot of people, he's the second best quarterback in the draft. And it looks like Chicago's going to take Caleb Williams because they just traded Justin Fields, which I wasn't a fan of. I thought they should have retained him, but especially since they gave up a 6th-round pick for Justin Fields, considering he was they drafted him, I think, at 11. And even if, and that's probably a whole nother conversation, man. But I felt like Chicago never really did justice to Justin Fields. They didn't give him the best situation. So it's really inquisitive to see, what kind of situation Caleb Williams comes into. But like I said, not a problem. We're Commanders fans. So Jayden Daniels is going to be a really intriguing prospect quarterback, man.
The only thing I will add with the Justin Fields trade is it's mind-blowing, the fact that, and this shows you, I think, how much improved we are in our front office, is the fact that we were able to get a higher return on Sam Howell. I mean, yes, we gave up draft picks, but still, we drafted Sam Howell in the 5th round. We were able to get a 3rd and a 4th.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, 3rd and the 4th for him. We gave a 4th and 6th, but then the Bears wound up having to give up a 6th round. Or no, I'm sorry. Pittsburgh gave up a 6th round to get the Bears Justin Fields, who was a 1st rounder. Right, so that goes to show you. For Caleb Williams, I might be a little concerned because I'm like, the Bears situation is going to be a situation that is going to make him successful.
Yeah.
And you do kind of wonder, is there going to be a little bit of an Eli Manning thing that happens with Caleb Williams? Because, I mean, you just don't know, because just the whole thing of not participating in the combine, and some of the rumors about him just kind of being a prima donna and whatnot. Yeah. I mean, I don't know, but you do start to wonder if he may force a trade. But Yeah, I mean, for us, I think that choosing someone like Jayden Daniels, I think he's going to be able to come in and produce right away, and that's what we need because that rookie quarterback more than likely he's going to be starting. So we got to be able to know that he's going to be ready, that he's going to be able to withstand basically being thrown into the fire, and so I'm excited either way. I don't honestly. I have no allegiance to either one of those quarterbacks. So I think that's the biggest thing. I think that sorry, hoping to eliminate some of my buzz. So I know that on if you look at social media, people are so divided between Jayden Daniels and Drake Maye, and it's one thing I've told people. I'm like, look, you can give your reasons why you like one quarterback or the other without tearing the other one down.
Yeah.
And to me, when you have to tear the other draftee down to justify why you like this other quarterback, then that tells me you really don't know if you like that quarterback or not. Or maybe there's other reasons why you want this guy over the other guy. But, to me, I don't care. I want them to win. I want them to be successful. I want them to embrace DC. I want them to become the face of the team. And most importantly, I want a quarterback that's going to be here for at least 10 years or longer.
Thank you.
We haven't had that in a long time. So that's what I'm wanting. And I think we're on the right path. And I'm excited. I am going to be relieved once we are past the draft.
I know.
Although I will say that some of you guys out there, once we pass the draft, you're like, you check out on these podcasts. You're like, I don't need to listen to football now. I already know what, so keep listening to the Maniacs because we will come up with something during that time. But at the same time, I will definitely be excited and relieved once we're past the draft because then we'll be able to really see what this team is going to look like, at least on paper. But we're going to know the talent that we have. And I'm just excited, man. I mean, this just is such a different feel, at least in my mind, of what this team is going to look like. I mean, Adam Peters pretty much turned this ball club around. Well, not yet, but he has turned this roster over a lot. He's only, brought back, what was it, 4 free agents.
Yeah.
And, so, I mean, this team is going to look a lot different. You'll still have some similarities. Well, Brian Robinson, Terry McLaurin, John Dotson, guys like that. But this team is going to look completely different. And it's very exciting. I know, Brandon, you're excited. I'm excited. Hopefully, this is going to be a big, bright spot in DC sports because we're not getting it from the Wizards.
Oh, Lord. Yeah, the Wizards got a little bit to go, man. Nationals, too. I think it comes down to the Commanders and the Capitals. But we're in a good position. And we haven't always been in this position. We have the ability to, even if we trade back, which I don't think we're going to do, we can still find a franchise quality quarterback in this draft because this is one of the sexiest drafts in a long time for quarterback. So you're going to be able to find your guy. And like I said, that's why Minnesota is rumored, they just acquired another first round pick. So a lot of people think they're going to kind of package that and move in a lot of news around Justin Jefferson. And he might be on the move of the draft. So there's a lot of moving pieces. But I mean, there's a reason why our teams are moving up for these quarterbacks because J.J. McCarthy proved that he can play in big games. And it kind of where I'm alluding with Jayden Daniels, where he's proven he can play in those big games. Now, I think that his pros definitely outweigh his cons. Yeah, he's very light. He's got to learn to slide. And, like I said, towards the end at LSU, he was sliding. He was trying to avoid hits, so he's already working on that. But, to me, he's definitely the pick at 2. Now, like I said, Drake Maye, I'm not anti-Drake Maye. Don't get me wrong. I think like I said, is a slight edge over Drake Maye to me because he's a dual threat quarterback. Drake Maye, I think, can come in and still do a really good job. Because like I said, he reminds me of Josh Allen. Josh Allen, heck, I'll take him in DC. I mean, I'm just saying, Josh Allen's a gamer, man. So even then, I mean, JJ McCarthy, I would take in DC. Bo Nix, I would take. So we have an opportunity to be picky a little bit, and that's a good situation to be in because, like you said, brand new owner, brand new GM, brand new coach staff. Now we're about to go get our franchise quarterback. It's an exciting time to be a Commanders fan. Kind of going back to the Caleb Williams thing. You know what? He's an electrifying talent, but what rubs me the wrong way with him is, number one, you should feel blessed enough to be in the NFL. This whole picking and choosing, like, where you want to go. First of all, Eli got away with that because he's a Manning. Manning is like royalty in the NFL, man. I mean, that's the only family that can get away with that. Nobody else can get away with that. I mean, picking and choosing and all that, I think that tells me a little bit. I mean, he's a good kid. I'm not, I want to paint him as a bad character guy and nothing like that, but I don't like prima donnas. I don't like you telling me that, oh, I don't want to play in Chicago. You should feel blessed to play in Chicago. You should feel blessed to play anywhere in the league. And then, I'm not really high on the nail painting and all that. I mean, is it a reason not to pick him? I don't know. I'm just an old school guy, man. Like the nail painting, him crying on the sidelines and all that. It's like, come on, man. Like you said, I want to see a little bit of toughness because if you're crying about a college football game, man, when you get smacked up in the NFL, you can't be over the crying, man. I'm just saying, because the fan base is going to let you know. So, like I said, it's new times. I got, I want to get used to the nails, but it is what it is. But, to me, those are red flags, me personally. Now, obviously, I think that he can come in and do a great job. But to me, it's like, it always rubs me the wrong way when I hear a college player tell me, oh, this is where I want to go. Like Marvin Harrison Jr. just said it. I'm like, oh, man, I liked him. But he said, oh, I want to go to Arizona. Okay. I mean, you haven't done anything. You're not even officially in the NFL yet. So who are you to dictate where you're going to go? Like, come on, man. Play some years in the NFL, and then you can dictate where you want to go. But it's just it's a new age. I'm kind of getting used to it because, like I said, I'm a old head. I'm still getting used to the idea of this newfound, I guess, freedom when it comes to college players. But getting back to Jayden, he's a baller, man. He's a baller. Like, he's light. He definitely needs to get in the weight room and hit that bench press, man. But I think he's going to come in and he's going to be a generational quarterback for this team. And even if we go in another direction, I am a Commanders fan. So I am going to root and support whoever's under center. Look, I supported Heineke, even though Heineke had a lot of deficiencies, but he had heart and he was our quarterback. Even Carson Wentz is I mean, it wasn't easy at times, but, I try to support whoever's here because I support the organization. You put anybody but under center, I'm going to show them support until they give me a reason not to. And then I'm going to start, getting loud and like I always do at the games. But, I'm going to support whoever's because, again, this is a deep class for quarterback. So, I think we win regardless. And we have been losers for so long. And I hate saying that, man, but it is so refreshing. Like we were talking about before the podcast. It is so refreshing to be able to have a new owner. I couldn't stand Snyder. I mean, we have a new GM. We have a legit GM. Not a guy, just a yes guy who's going to let Ron Rivera make all the decisions. Because we saw the horror show with that. I mean, we have a legit GM who's going to go out there and build his team. We got a coaching staff, which I get Dan Quinn won the number one choice, but I mean, with the whole saga with Ben Johnson, maybe he should have been the number one choice because he's proven to be a guy who can lead his team to a Super Bowl. I mean, people can harp on him about the Super Bowl and all that. I get it, but he got him there. I mean, that year, 30 other teams didn't make it. So I'm just saying, like, I mean, he did something right that year. So he's proven that he can get the best out of his players, and he's going to build his defense. Joe Witt, I'll tell you what, that is the one under the radar move that's really got me excited. Is Joe Witt because he's saying all the right things. I mean, he has really got a baller's mindset, man. He's going to whip this defense into shape. So, I mean, I'm excited. Like I said, the final piece is quarterback and left tackle, Lord have mercy, and corner. But, I mean, we're going to be able to, and like I said, and you hit it earlier, Greg, and I'm going to get off my soapbox a little bit, but you hit the nail on the head. We made smart signings in the offseason and didn't have to break the bank to do it. We got stop gaps. Then we can go out in the draft and get a guy, develop it. It's all about development. You hear a lot about baseball, minor leagues, basketball, about development, but you don't hear a lot about the development in the NFL because, quite frankly, when you're in the top 10 picks, the expectation is you're going to come right in and perform. Where, we need to develop. Jayden Daniels, don't get it twisted. He's going to still have to be developed. He's, LSU, SEC, that's all good and well, man, but don't forget, Manuel Force is a beast in the SEC, and you see where he's at. So, I mean, you gotta evolve to the speed of the NFL because in college, very few guys are trying to be professionals. Most of these guys are either going to get a degree and go do something else. I mean, let's be real, 75% of them are working regular jobs. So, I mean, NFL, that's their job. You got defensive ends, man, are running 4.40s, man. I mean, they're going to hit you. They're rolling. They're not playing around. So, and RG3 would tell you, most running quarterbacks would tell you, man, these guys are hitting hard, and they're trying to get these guys. So, and in short, because I got my soapbox, everybody, I'm very excited. I think Jayden Daniels should definitely be the guy, but like you said, Greg, I'm not one of these guys on Twitter and social media, man, where it's like you got to go for one and not the other. No, Drake Maye, I'm behind him. Even if it's JJ McCarthy, I got you. Whoever it is, I think they're coming into a good situation where the fan base is ready to embrace them. So let's get it. I'm ready to roll.
Yeah, I think we're both in unison on that. I just I'm excited, and once we feel like we actually have our quarterback and we actually start to see that, yes, he is going to be a franchise quarterback, you're going to see a new era in Washington football. And I'm just amazed. I'm so in awe of how much different things have looked in this offseason as far as free agency, and then we'll see what happens in the draft. But it is just made me reminisce and go back to YouTube and watch like old Redskins games from like the early 80s and stuff like that, and just seeing like how dominant they were. And even when it was a tough game, you're like, they're going to win this game. Well, of course they won this game because I watched this game about 40 years ago. But anyway, just but just that sense of knowing that the quarterback, the head coach, the GM, everybody, they're all in unison. They're all on the same page. Yep. And that is one thing that the front office has preached. Dan Quinn, Adam Peters, everybody's going to be on the same page. And when you're on the same page, you can't lose because you're all on the united front. And we have not seen this with past regimes in Washington at all. Even though that I think there were some regimes that probably got crippled if they really had a chance to succeed, but still, in the most part, nobody was really on the same page.
Yeah.
Now you see it; they're all on the same page, and it's a great thing. So yeah, and I'm with you. We have our favorites, but at the same time, I'm excited for anybody. Bo Nix, I don't know, Michael Penix. Whoever they choose, I'm going to support 100%. The biggest thing is I just want to make sure that this team gets built the right way, and I think they are. And so that's more important, is make sure the whole entire team is built and make sure you get the right pieces, the right type of character of player. Because at the end of the day, you can have all of the physical tools and the abilities, but if you don't have that character, it's not going to work. Yeah. So that's it, folks. Let us know in the comments what you think about Jayden Daniels. I know there's a lot of Jayden Daniel fans out there and on social media. I like him. I am excited. I'm scared about it. I want him to beef up, which is surprising that, when you start talking about someone in the 200s, might be flirting there, that, they're too skinny, and no one has really accused me of that in the past 6 months. So I appreciate that when someone is too skinny and they're over 200 pounds. So, right. But anyway, yes, I need to work out. I'm excited, folks. Let us know in the comments what you think about Jayden Daniels. But see if you can tell us why you would draft Jayden Daniels over anybody else without, here's your homework, without trying to tear down any of the other quarterbacks. Just don't even worry about any of the other quarterbacks. Just tell us why you like Jayden Daniels. What do you think about him is going to scream to you that he is the guy? And then you could do the same for, if you're a Drake Maye fan, you can do the same thing. Caleb Williams, J.D. McCarthy or whoever, but do it without mentioning any of the other quarterbacks' names. I want to see how many people can actually do that. With that said, if you like this podcast, please make sure you do hit that like button. Share the video with others if you don't mind. And yeah, with that said, folks, we will see you in the next one. So you take care. Hell to the Washington Commanders. Peace.
Peace.